Alright, welcome back to B Mother Reviews, everybody. Today we're taking a look at the second of 3 Assassin's Creed Animus statues from Canadian company Pure Arts. This is Bayek of Siwa. Now I'm going to tell you if you need this statue in your collection. We're going to talk sculpt and design, we're going to talk paint and production quality, so let's get in the review right now. Alright, so Assassin's Creed, as you probably well know, is one of the most popular and successful game franchises of all time. It's right now working on its 11th sequel. That's right, 11th right now with Valhalla. I mean, most games are lucky to get 1 sequel, period, and this game's already got 11. Now, this statue is based on the 10th major release in the series. That's Assassin's Creed Origins. And as the name of the game would imply, it takes things way back to the beginnings of the Assassin's Brotherhood. It features the main character here, Bayek, who is a Medjay, which is sort of a ancient police force of sorts of ancient Egypt, but he's the last of his kind, and although he's seen as a hero in his hometown of Siwa, he is something of a relic and a nuisance in the eyes of the rest of Egypt. Now the story sort of starts out as kind of a simple one. It's one of revenge. He wants to seek out vengeance on the people he feels are responsible for his son's death. But it sort of evolves into a story of political intrigue and betrayal. It's one that forces Bayek and his wife, Aya of Alexandria, to form an alliance or an organization of sorts that they call the Hidden Ones. And the Hidden Ones go on to become the Assassin's Brotherhood that we know better in other games of the series. Now, this story takes place in the era of Cleopatra and Julius Caesar, which could be one of the most compelling periods of all recorded history. I mean, I'm completely fascinated with ancient Egypt, and that for me makes this game really interesting. And one of the cool things about all the Assassin's Creed games is it takes a fictional tale and kind of weaves it with real places, real people, and real events. So that's what makes this game really interesting to me, and I'm sure to most gamers that follow the series. So, should this statue weave its way into your collection? Let's start off the review with sculpt and design next. Alright, let's take a look at the design on this statue, and similar to the other 2 in the series, you have the Animus effect here on the base, kind of phasing into existence. It's really quite a neat effect for these statues, and on this one here you have this etched hieroglyph pattern on the front of most of these columns of light. You can see they're forming into this sort of carved relic on the back here, the wall, and again, more etched hieroglyph patterns on the front of that. Gives it sort of this authentic Egyptian type feel for the statue. He's standing atop this eagle or falcon style monument, and they've given it a really nice worn and eroded look to make it look like a relic from this ancient era where he lives. Now, the pose of the statue, on the base of it is pretty straightforward, just sort of this simple walking pose, but they've added this eagle on the back kind of bursting into flight, and you can see his robes blowing in the wind, just enough to give it this dynamic look and feel to the piece. Now, this is the 4th statue I have reviewed for Pure Arts, and the trend that they have quickly established in my mind is extremely fine texture and detail, and this statue absolutely follows with that trend. Now, the sculpt for these statues, Pure Arts does start with the game files, but then they start adding their own details to it to just take it to new levels. This statue, I can't even tell you about all the details. There's just that much to see on this piece. But some of my favorite things, starting with the skin texture. That's kind of a big difference between this costume and the other 2, Altair and Ezio. You can see more of his skin, so it was really important that they made it look realistic. And on this, they did a fantastic job with that. I mean, all over his exposed areas on the arms and legs, and especially on the hands, and then you see his feet and toes, which are exposed there as well. An incredibly realistic look to it, so really nice job there. I love this orange piece of cloth down the front of his suit. Just an amazing embroidered pattern there, and another embroidered pattern on the red sash as well. He's got all kinds of belts and buckles and pouches on his suit. Really realistic cloth texture here on the beige parts of his suit. It's just fantastic. You look at the hidden blade here, the shield, you know, with the scarab and the wings pattern on the front of it. Fantastic. One small detail that I really like is how the sword is sort of fragmented. It's sort of still phasing into one solid piece. So it's just a kind of a neat look for that sword right there. You know, you got the pharaoh style armor underneath his cloak. You got this necklace around his neck there, which is loose. All his weapons, I mentioned the sword, you got the bow that wraps around his back and the quiver of arrows. And you got the eagle as well, which is extremely well detailed with all the feathering. And you look at his feet, he's got these big black, vicious looking talons and then the lumpy style bird feet. It's just an absolutely fantastic sculpt. I can't believe the amount of detail that they packed into this guy. Fantastic portrait as well, really well done. The lips look very nice. He's got the scar above his lip and the scar down his cheek as well. Fantastic sculpt here. Pure did an absolutely amazing job. All right, we're going to move on. We're going to talk about paint on this statue. We'll start off with the base. For the most part, it is a kind of brownish gray stone look about it. But on the front of this eagle, on the beak and around the eyes, it's got this gold look. It almost looks like a hammered gold leaf style of finish to it. Something you might expect to see in, you know, the treasure in a pharaoh's tomb or something like that. And on the beak, part of it has worn and fallen off, and it gives it that, again, that ancient look and feel about it. The Animus itself has a little bit of a wash on the front of it to help bring out that hieroglyph pattern as well. So nice job with the paint on the base. Now, last segment I mentioned all the fine detail on this sculpt, but without an awesome paint job to go with it, a lot of that detail would be wasted. Now, I'm happy to say that the paint job on this statue is fantastic as well. All kinds of fine detailed painting. You look at the orange cloth and it's got this blue and white embroidered pattern that goes across it, and they didn't miss a single line in there. Fantastic clean paint job. The skin tones look excellent. I really like the color. You got the discoloration of the veins beneath the skin. His lips are a slightly different color as well on the face to help bring those out. Just a really great job all around on this piece. I really like the gold as well on his armor. Again, has that sort of hammered gold leaf effect. And again, fine detailing with this red and blue pattern on some of the gold trim of his armor, some of the trim on his shoulder armor as well. It's just a fantastic paint job. As I said, this statue needed it because of all the fine detail, and it got it. It's a great paint job on this piece. All right, moving on to production quality for the statue. Let's talk a little bit how this piece goes together. Now, the base comes in two major parts. You got the ground under his feet and then the wall, two big pieces there. But each one of these little Animus effect parts are a separate piece as well, and they just slot into the base like that. The eagle as well just kind of slots into the top of the wall. Otherwise, he comes in one single piece as well. Bayek himself, most of him is actually one piece. The head, the left arm, and the shield all come attached to the body. The right arm is a separate piece, and it goes on with a magnet like that. And it's a nice strong magnet holding it into place. The bow and the quiver of arrows also key into his back and are held in place with a magnet. So it's a fairly straightforward statue to put together, not too difficult, and it feels pretty sturdy once it is. The statue is pretty big, actually. It's quite tall, about 27 inches, and this sword here, because it's so long and he's holding it out to the side like that, it actually does take up quite a bit of space. So just keep that in mind as you're planning a spot to put this statue. Weighs about 24 pounds, so you know it's a good weight, but not overly heavy to overburden your shelves or be difficult to move around. Now, what I really like about this production is you can tell all the tiny little parts and pieces that went into making it. And what that does is it really makes it look like he's got this really layered costume on, because each piece is a separate part. I can't imagine how complex and difficult it must have been to cast all these little tiny pieces and put them together the right way. But that's one advantage that Pure Arts has, is because they have their own production factory. They're in charge solely of the production of their own products. So they're able to do these complex things like you see here. It really is quite a fine production from Pure Arts. I think they've done a nice job with it. Nice job breaking it down for you to ship and put together. There's really no complaints I have in that department. Now you notice the light up feature here. I'll turn it around to the back. And the battery compartments, you got 2 of them. Each one takes 3 AA batteries, and you do need all 6 of those batteries to make the lights work properly. And there's 2 switches. There's one on the wall here. You can see turning that on and off, and then one on the base, like so. So again, 6 AA batteries for the light up feature. I like that you can easily access the battery compartments without having to take the statue apart and flip over the base to get to the underside. So that's really nice about this piece. Overall, really nice production here from Pure Arts. All right, it's time to wrap up this review. This is from Assassin's Creed Origins, the Animus Bayek statue from Pure Arts. Now I mentioned it is number 2 of 3 in the Animus line. The first being Altair, the third being Ezio, which will be coming out soon. Now Altair, I did review that piece. It was fantastic. It's an amazing piece. But this one I think is even more intricate and complex looking. It just has an exceptional level of detail and texturing all over the piece, and a fantastic paint job to go along with that to help all that detail and texture shine. It's got a great portrait on it. The Animus effect looks very cool. The base, the eagle, the flowing robes. It just has a little hint of dynamics to help that statue become interesting. Nice quality production. You know, the pieces all fit together nice. It's easy to assemble. You've got the light up feature with the easy access switches, the easy access battery compartment, so that's always nice for a light up feature. It's just overall a really nice, tight, complete package from Pure Arts, and I think Assassin's Creed fans are going to love this piece right here. So there you have it, Bayek from Pure Arts. I hope you enjoyed that review. Stay tuned to the channel. Be sure to subscribe because we got all kinds of reviews on the way later this year. And we'll talk to you guys soon.